Donald Trump gearing up for a major appearance in Detroit, where he will deliver remarks at an African-American church tomorrow as part of his outreach to minority voters. The trip comes in response to sharp criticism from many in that community, incensed by the Republican nominee's generalization about black life in America. Still, Trump remains confident about his chances.
First of all, I have so many African-American friends where they're doing great, and they're making good money, they're living a good life, they've got the American dream going. But you have tremendous numbers of African Americans that have really had a hard time, I mean, beyond belief. And, I read the numbers where you have so many in poverty, and the crime is horrible, and the education is terrible, and they live terribly. And I say, what do you have to lose? I say to them, what do you have to lose? Give it to me. I'm going to fix it. And a lot of people are agreeing with me. What do you have to lose? The Democrats and the Hillary Clintons of the world have done a terrible job. She's been there for 35 years. She's done a terrible job.
Following his remarks, Trump is scheduled to tour some of Detroit's hardest-hit neighborhoods, giving him the opportunity, his campaign says, to take his vision and his message directly to the people. Catherine, let me start with you. I mean, it's an interesting message. He's saying, what's been happening here is not working.
Right. I mean, Hillary's got, 91% of the black vote there. So it's like kind of going up a hill with a pogo stick. Very difficult. But if you look at history, he's right. If you look at Bill Clinton's administration, policies that she supported led to uneducated, not college educated black men, the highest unemployment rates among them ever because of incarceration rates. And these are things she's on record supporting. So if you look at the records, yeah, her ideas, the Clintons' ideas, what she supported, left these communities devastated. And so if he can stick to that message, I don't know if he can completely win over these areas, but he can at least make an improvement. And I think it does look great that he's trying. Republicans normally don't even try to win these areas.
Tucker, who is he talking to when he says this message? I mean, is he really talking to people in that community and thinking that he's going to get part of the black vote? Or is he talking to maybe more liberal women?
I don't know. And I don't know that it matters. I think true things are worth saying for their own sake. Look, he delivered this message to a white audience last week and was called a racist by Hillary Clinton for doing it. He's delivering it to a black audience tomorrow. I'm sure she'll still call him a racist. But who cares? It doesn't make the message any less true. And the basic message is our urban policy for 50 years has been a demonstrable failure. It really has been. It doesn't mean his ideas are going to fix it. I'm not sure they are. But we do know what we're currently doing does not work. And the Democratic Party is the only beneficiary because they get the votes out of it. By the way, I would just say one last thing. Trump is now polling better among black voters than Mitt Romney did, which to me is gratifying just because it shows how truly dumb the political consultant class in Washington is, who told us that somehow Trump is going to do worse among black voters. He's not going to do great, I wouldn't imagine. Still doing better than Romney, though.
Well, Romney got 59% of the white vote, and he did so poorly among minorities. He still lost. So that's an illustration for what Donald Trump is facing. But I thought it was interesting. The New York Times was reporting that the questions that Bishop Jackson was going to ask him were the campaign wanted
you making that point this morning.
The campaign wanted to see them, and they got them. I think it was roughly a dozen, and there were some answers, rough kind of sketches that the campaign had put together for him, and like how to respond to the question of whether the campaign is racist, to avoid repeating that word. I just thought it showed great care in how he is addressing this community, and it certainly focus on how his communication skills and his, again, choice of words, Julie.
Let's be clear. He's not speaking to a black audience. He's going into a back room with a pastor. He has gotten the questions pre-submitted to him.
Which Hillary Clinton has done.
Listen, let me finish my point. Let me finish my point. He has designed the answer. He has no problem going to a town in Wisconsin that is vastly white and discussing the plight of the black community in front of a huge white audience. But he has no ability to do that in front of a black audience, to look them in the face and repeat the same points.
What's wrong with speaking to a white audience?
Nothing's wrong with speaking to a white audience.
Why did you note it twice?
I noted it twice because he was talking to a white audience about the issues that plagued the black community.
What's wrong with that?
Why doesn't he do that to the black community?
Well, I guess he's going to do it.
No, he's not actually, Tucker. He's actually not doing it.
He's going to. Wait, I want to be clear. Wait, I want to be clear about.
No, it's not television. I'm sorry. It's behind closed doors. No press allowed.
No, it's being broadcast after the fact.
After it's being edited. They have editing
You know
rights.
what Trump thinks. He can't tell you on Twitter. I mean, he's not hiding what he thinks.
No, it's a huge difference. He has editing power over this tape. You know what this is? This is a campaign commercial.
There are questions, and then he will also make remarks after the fact, and it will be seen.
Yeah. Donald Trump has given more press conferences in Mexico this year than Hillary Clinton has at all. So to criticize him on the way he's taking questions,
guys, if this were Hillary, you'd be all over her. This is such hypocrisy, all over her. He does not have the courage. He does not have the
smart,
courage.
though? I mean, isn't it smart, though? Because he's gone out in so many different settings and said things, and then it's backfired. I mean, thank God somebody's editing it.
If you're going to talk about the plight of the black community, do it to their face.
But wait a second. I mean, let's just be totally fair for 1 second. Trump's problem is not that he doesn't talk enough or tell you enough about what he thinks. His problem is the opposite. So, like, a lot of things you can say about Trump that are negative, and I agree. I wouldn't, contest them. But you can't say he's hiding what he thinks.
That's the final word. We have to move on. And by the way, the Clinton campaign has, in the past, asked for questions in advance. So it's not hypocritical on that. Let's move on to this story. The former Stanford University swimmer convicted of sexually assaulting an unconscious woman is out of jail. Brock Turner released this morning after spending only 3 months behind bars. That's half his 6-month sentence. The case drawing national attention after the victim's impact statement went viral. If you haven't read it, do. Many saying his sentence was too lenient in the first place. It led lawmakers to pass a tougher sexual assault law, and that's now on the governor's desk. The county sheriff saying that she hopes that he does sign it. She was asked this morning what went through her mind when she first heard what Turner's sentence was.
Outrage. It's a rape conviction. It was a rape conviction of a woman who was unconscious and drunk and should not have done time in our jail. We're done with him. He's gone. He should be in prison right now. He should have been in state prison. It should be a state prison sentence. It's a felony. It's a rape. 6 months where you only do 3 is not correct. It's not right.
Judge Aaron Persky sentenced Turner in June, citing extraordinary circumstances of his youth and clean criminal record. Since then, there's been a push to recall the judge. Meantime, Stanford University announcing a new alcohol policy banning hard liquor from most on-campus parties starting this fall. Despite the timing, the school says it has nothing to do with the Brock Turner case. Critics say that changing a school's drinking policies does not address the problem of rape culture on college campuses. Kat, to you first on this. Where do you start? Because, again, this is concern for the rapist rather than the victim. And rather than addressing rape and people raping unconscious, intoxicated women, the school's going to try and make it about alcohol consumption.
Yeah, right. Where you start is right. You look at the way that this kid talked about this, saying, well, what about my swimming? What about me? This wasn't because he was drunk. This is because this is a bad guy. I don't care how good he was at swimming or how good his grades are. He's clearly an entitled person who doesn't care about people other than himself. Now, the alcohol policy thing, that's actually going to make things worse. There's no studies that they said are going to make it better. We're going to have kids ripping shots in their dorm rooms to make sure they're drunk enough to go out to this party because they know that they can't drink freely there. It happens all the time. We weren't supposed to drink in my dorm rooms at all in college. Did people? Yes, everybody did. Yeah, and a lot of people would get really, really drunk.
Yeah, to be crass, it's not, hey, bourbon causes rape, but wine somehow doesn't.
Exactly.
That's the disgusting display based on this policy.
It's to look like you're doing something that's not controversial, that we don't have to actually say, oh, hey, let's try to change the culture, or hey, this was a horrible thing this kid did. Should not have happened. They're going to say, we're doing something by banning liquor from parties. People are going to be the drunkest they've ever been at these parties at Stanford.
Supposed to do?
Absolutely.
How do you change a culture? And what is rape culture? I think colleges are way less impressive than they pretend to be. I'm not defending Stanford. I wouldn't send my kids there. Mm-hmm. But partying too much on campuses is a real thing. I've got 2 kids in college. Yeah. It's a real thing. And people who are intoxicated do things they wouldn't ordinarily do. So to pretend that it's not a problem, that kids are wasted all the time in college, is not true. It's a huge problem. And, like, why would we pretend otherwise?
Why are we making alcohol, and this is what I'm about to say I think is fairly controversial, but when you stigmatize alcohol and you say that when you're 18, you're old enough to go to war and you're old enough to get married or whatever else you're doing, but you're not old enough to buy a bottle of scotch.
That's a fair point.
What that does is lead these kids to start doing exactly what Kat said. It becomes a stigma. You start doing shots in your room. You start doing it quietly. You start doing it in ways that you're not going to want anybody to see. What Stanford is doing is further stigmatizing it, and Kat is absolutely right.
That's not true.
The law of unintended consequences.
I just think that it just smacks of it all boils down to personal responsibility in terms of drinking and in terms of not committing rapes and sexual assaults on other individuals, because when this Brock Turner was sentenced, the judge cited the fact that alcohol was involved in the incident because it impaired his judgment. Again, that's not making him take personal responsibility.
We're trying to blame everybody involved here except for the guy who actually did it. Because when you say a rape culture, that puts it back on the university. I mean, this man was a violent predator. When you read this report,
that's why I said read
it. I mean, it's shocking what he did. And it's not about a rape culture, and it's not about alcohol. I mean, those are all things that are terrible. But this is about one person who's a violent predator who is now free.
And it's about one judge who essentially let him out of prison, out of jail in 3 months.
But can I just because this is true, we're being too clever by half. The idea that when you prohibit something, it increases its use is demonstrably untrue. There's a lot of social science in this. Drinking went down during Prohibition. We have legalized marijuana in a ton of states. In effect, marijuana use has risen dramatically. Now, if that's bad or good, depending on what you think, I'm not that upset about it, but it's true. When you prohibit something, people do it less. It's true with smoking. So if you do want to reduce drinking on campus, make grumpy noises about it, and people actually drink less.
On a college campus, you're going to drink when you're in college.
Absolutely.
You're going to be doing it in the bathroom stall. You're going to be taking enough shots to make sure that you're drunk enough by the time you get there, rather than just being able to drink in a normal way, the way that you will or hopefully will throughout your life.
When do 18-year-olds drink normally? I've never met one who did.
Because it's been illegal for them for basically our entire adulthood. That's why.
So if we legalize heroin, would more people do it or less?
No, but it gets back
I can't
to
speak to heroin. I have no experience with heroin. I do with college
The reason
drinking.
that I'm not doing heroin is not because it's illegal. It's because I don't want to die.
But it gets back to sexual assault and rape. And if you don't address that and make people take personal responsibility and send them to prison until they've got gray hair, then not a damn thing is going to change.
But Melissa, I'm sorry, but Melissa raises an excellent point, which is that all of us have drank in our lives and all of us have gotten drunk in our lives, and it has never led me to want to commit illegal acts.
Violent crime.
Right? Violent crime. And if you have it in you to commit a violent crime like a rape, alcohol is not the excuse for it. That's the part that I don't understand in this judge.
New evidence of political bias at Facebook, how liberals stacked the deck in its trending news section and kept conservative viewpoints under wraps. And what the social media giant is doing about it.